is you're not getting any younger. I can't stress that enough to guys. They want to wait, and they want to wait till they have more money or more time or whatever it may be. Well, you're going to run out of time. Mm-hmm. And the opportunities are dwindling. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. And you need to go now. You really do. And we want to help you find that. That's our goal.
What is up, everybody? We've got a really good one here, a really fun one. We've got part of the team, a big part of the team, at Huntin Fool here. Now, it's not necessarily, there's still hunting seasons going on. A lot of big game seasons have closed. They've shut down. We're all maybe a little depressed, but it's a new season. It's application season. It's Western big game application season, even at press time, as I like to say, while we're recording, so we're not pressing anything. Some of these apps are already in the books. You've got Alaska that starts super early, and actually I might need your guys' help a little bit with that because I missed it this year. Super bummed. It caught me off guard. You know, you get busy, and sometimes you miss those things because it's a complex process. Every state runs its application process differently. There's different types of tags, different types of points, different units, everything. There's so much to it. But the beautiful thing is that we have people like Austin and Braxton to help us distill down all this crazy information and help you get applied for the tag that you want to hopefully draw someday, fingers crossed.
That's what we do, Mark. It's a fun job, but like you said, this time of year is the time of year where you need to plan. You got to get ahead of it or you're left in the dust.
Yep. I mean, yeah, you're left like me going, great, well, maybe next year we'll try again. We tried, right? Yeah, I didn't even try. So before we get too deep, Austin, what's really cool is I've known you for a lot of years. You've been to what we call old Vortex, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I always enjoy having a person that's seen, I guess, that contrast because I think it's just like you kind of know a little bit more of the story. And then Braxton, it's awesome having you out here for the first time. You know, we talked to you guys a little bit over the phone, and we worked with you guys, on your media properties and the stuff that you guys create to help people with their apps and Western hunts. But maybe Austin, we'll start with you. But tell us a little bit about your story, where you're from, how you ended up at Huntin Fool, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I've always hunted, right, since I was little. And I remember when I bought my first pair of Vortex, I'll start there. That was a turning point for me because I had drawn my first Arizona bull elk tag, archery. I got to upgrade. I need a good pair. And I prefer 8.5s when I'm archery hunting. I remember buying that pair, and it was a big point for me. I was coming out here every spring for a show, and I wanted to see the Vortex optics office, right? Which you now refer to as old Vortex.
Right.
But it was still awesome to meet you guys. And so I feel like even as a consumer that I've been part of the Vortex story because Vortex has a part in my life. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But to back up, I'm just excited to be here. I'll say that. But I've always hunted and I wanted to guide when I was younger. Out of high school, out of college, I said, I can't afford these hunts that I want to go on. So I started guiding in Alaska and Arizona, and I got to experience a lot of neat hunts. And that kind of got me in the industry where I started meeting people. I worked as a guide for many years, and then I had a chance to come to Huntin Fool and work more on the strategy, helping customers find hunts, achieve their dreams. And so Huntin Fool was just kind of a fit for me where it's what I was doing on my own and for my family members, but now I could do it on a bigger scale and help members all across the country and across the world. So that's kind of just fell into place at Huntin Fool. It's been a fun job for me for 7 years now, and I hope to be there the rest of my life, honestly.
That's super cool, man. Yeah, I mean, it's been so fun knowing you, and like you said, we'd have like our annual, Austin's in town. Let's have you come to the shop. We'd hang out. We'd talk shop. Talk about hunts you've been on. And guiding and doing this like super cool stuff. And then for you to be like, oh, I'm gonna work at Huntin Fool now. Like it was really, I don't know, it was just like super cool to see that evolution because we were already working with Huntin Fool, so
Sure.
like we had. And it was just like, oh, it felt like we had a little, like a little insider over there. So, yeah, it's been neat to watch. I guess kind of both Vortex and your careers evolve over time. All right, so with the audio recording and the video recording, you may have noticed, and Ryan may be able to fix it and it'll look seamless. So what I'm saying right now will be completely irrelevant, but there might be some sort of hard cut. Braxton, he lost his voice, which can be a problem when you're on an audio podcast when the whole thing is talking. So luckily, we always have contingency plans in place. We've got Jess here from Huntin Fool. She's going to fill in. She's going to fill in the gap. She's got a cool, unique story and a big part of the Huntin Fool team. We work with her on kind of like the media side as well. So we're still going to we still got you guys. So, sorry, but you're here. So we'd
love to be here.
We're going to grill you with all these questions and get as much information as we can. So Jess, real quick, give us a little bit of your story, how you ended up at Huntin Fool. Let the listeners get to know you a little bit.
So I grew up in Central Texas. Grew up hunting with my dad. Grew to love the outdoors and started hunting when I was in middle school. Fell in love with it. Found confidence in it. Met Braxton, who has recently bailed on us, and he put a bow in my hand. And I came across women who wanted to bow hunt. They didn't feel confident in it. They wanted to try it and just didn't know where to start. I saw so much insecurity around it, so I decided to start writing about my experiences and helping women and children get more involved in the outdoors, and started a brand. I'm doing a really rough, really quick overview right now, but started my own blog, started writing about it, and then I was going to trade shows for my own personal stuff, where I ended up meeting the CEO of Huntin Fool, Jared, on the show floor. And they said that you can shake one hand and it'll change your life, and that's kind of what happened. I was looking to grow more in a different way, take a different road, and Huntin Fool is kind of a blessing in my opinion, and they needed a marketing person, and I wanted to be with a team. I was tired of being kind of on my own, doing my own thing for a while, so 11 months later I was working at Huntin Fool. Moved from Texas to Utah.
No kidding, huh?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And even just, not even, but the work that you were doing before with getting women more involved in hunting and, really, I guess, almost like giving them permission to have that confidence. I think some of it, is, it's, you forget, no, I'm not going to say this correctly. So anyway, but really cool work, very important work, and neat to see how that transitioned into where you're at today, because that's, like you said, it's life can be a pretty windy path, and that's definitely a neat road. So what's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing about being at Huntin Fool?
Honestly, the energy of the office is it's contagious. We have a really cool family atmosphere. That was really, really important, moving away from family, from everything I'd always known, into a setting where it's I don't know, there's just a different energy about it. Everybody's really passionate about their job. They show up every day excited. I feel that in this office too, by the way. I feel like it's important to say that on here. It was very welcoming. I could tell everybody really loved their job here and got along really, really well. And that's probably my favorite thing, but it's also really new to me. Growing up in the South, I obviously didn't get into Western big game hunting until I went my very first elk hunt in 2015 as a wedding gift. My dad and I went, and
no way.
I was addicted ever since. And I always knew I wanted to live in the mountains. So it's kind of it's like all these pieces finally clicked. And so I'm still learning a lot every day. These guys are brilliant. I don't feel like I can replace Braxton on here in terms of information. So Austin's going to have a little heat on answering some of these questions. But I love that part of it too. I'm never bored. There's always something new, especially dealing with regulations. They're constantly changing. Seeing these guys just dive in and invest so much time and passion behind it is really, really cool. It's really motivating. I feed off of it for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you could do the job that you guys do without that passion. You have to love it, and it's obvious that you guys love it. And it's cool that what you pointed out, the vibe that you felt at Vortex, because I was actually even going to mention that about you guys is I can tell just from what you're talking about, I can tell you guys have that as well. It's cool. You come in, it's like you said, it's like family. You know? So that's which makes coming to work pretty easy
Yeah, I've never, ever, I've been with Huntin Fool since November 2019. There's not a single day I've woken up and thought, I have to go to work today. Like, I was excited to go to work. I couldn't wait.
Yep.
I actually have a hard time, like, cutting it off at 5 p.m. because I just love it so much.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, and yeah, the same thing happens here. Like, you go on a trip or you're doing something and you get back and you're like, oh my gosh, I miss my coworkers.
Yeah.
It's true. We get to spend a lot of time together because we're in the hunting industry.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our busy season, like you mentioned. It's application season. It's planning season. But when it comes to hunting season, we do get to go on a lot of hunts together. So we've got hunting buddies in our office, and we scheme together and we plan together, and we go to Alaska together sometimes. So we're always scheming the next hunt we can do as coworkers. So it's pretty enjoyable.
There's definitely worse things than that. So Hunting Fool, like, to me, is like definitely, I mean, like, really, like, as far as like in the Western draw application space, providing high level, detailed information that people need to navigate it. Pretty iconic, So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding up one of the magazines that they put out. I mean, it's always been, like, in my opinion, like one of the highest quality, like, publications as far as just like the way it looks, the way it feels. I mean, I even call it, like, it's got that Huntin Fool smell when you get it out of the box. You're like, oh yeah, it's app season, baby. But I mean, you guys have just put an amazing amount of work and thought into providing that information for a lot of years. And that, one thing I wanted to ask is, I think I became aware of Huntin Fool, like, I don't know. I mean, it was before we met. It was back. But how long has Huntin Fool been around? Like, give us a brief history just on the organization and what you guys have been up to since its inception.
Yeah, it's changed a lot over the years. Like you said, Garth Carter, who originally founded Huntin Fool in the mid-'90s, he saw that there was going to be a demand issue for all these Western big game tags. He said, I'm going to create a club, if you will, a group of guys that I can share information with. And he started a pamphlet, and he started sending that out. And pretty soon it turned into a smaller magazine. And then it turned into the book, if you want to call it that it is today. So 26 years it's been running. And Garth Carter's now retired, and we run the company now, but still doing the same thing, trying to find and help people plan their dream hunts because it's a limited resource so that you can go on the best hunts that are available, but you can find it in an easy-to-digest source. That's what we are. Some guys have called us, you're the Cliff Notes of hunting regulations, right? Which isn't a bad description. We're going to take the mess that the state has forced you to go through. We're going to simplify it, tell you how to do it, make sure you don't miss the deadline, and go on more and better hunts. That's, in a nutshell, what the core of everything Huntin Fool does.
Yeah,
that's our mission every day.
Yeah, and I've been a lifelong hunter, super passionate about hunting. I grew up out west, about as far west as you can, right? Western Washington, right? But, and so, and I find, the hunting regulations and the application process, like, tricky to navigate. And particularly I think of, like, a person who's new and getting into hunting. My goodness, where do you start? How do you start? How do you even almost like decipher or, like, understand some of the terminology? Like, even that 100%. Can be tricky,
And it's different from state to state. So what usually happens is, like you said, you're hunting, you hunt in your home state. Maybe you've gone to one other state to hunt another species, but undoubtedly you've got a friend that says, hey, you need to come to state A with me, or Wyoming, or whatever it may be, and go on this hunt. So now you're relying on them to be your pseudo expert in that state. But they might not tell you the whole story. They might not understand it themselves. But most guys have gotten hooked on one other species or one other hunt, and we find those all the time. I have points for this state because I applied there because my buddy told me to. Mm-hmm. And they really don't know why they're doing it or what they're missing out on. So we try to be that source for as soon as you want to start branching out into other states, you're a non-resident and you got to navigate their process, come to us. Mm-hmm. We're going to be that neutral force that helps you find what you're looking for, help you build a strategy, and go. Mm-hmm. Because you're not getting any younger. I can't stress that enough to guys. They want to wait, and they want to wait till they have more money or more time or whatever it may be. Well, you're going to run out of time. Mm-hmm. And the opportunities are dwindling, mm-hmm. I'll say that. And you need to go now You really do. And we want to help you find that. That's our goal.
Yeah, I know an older gentleman who's like, oh man, it's my dream to, I really want to go. And he's not like a huge hunter, but he's like, man, I've always wanted to go on a horseback elk hunt. He's like, that's my quintessential thing. And I'm like, John, you're 73. Like,
let's go.
It's like, if you're going to do this, like, we got to figure that out, but I think it's just like this thing that like you put off, and like you said, time, we don't have, every day is definitely a gift, and we definitely think it's easy to do. We think we have more time than we actually have,
That's right. And what has COVID and all of this done to us as hunters? Yes, it's spiked demand. There's a lot of guys that want to spend time out, but what it's done for me, a big part of it, is to realize your time may be even more short than you think it is with loved ones, with your hunting buddies, and you need to go now. And there's no reason to not come out west and hunt big game. Every year, there's an opportunity for you. We're not just the best of the West, biggest animals, only top trophy hunts. No. There's opportunities for you that you would enjoy, for species maybe you've never thought about, or animal sizes that you would be okay with. So it's not just the best. Don't worry about all the best stuff that's out there in the draws. Let's go on anything. So we cover everything from over-the-counter hunts, do-it-yourself hunts, not just guided, but everything you're looking for, find something that fits for you. Let us help you find it, identify it, and plan for it.
Yep. I think one thing I know I find personally, and I feel like I see it with a lot of folks too, particularly when they finally do go. Like maybe they've hunted their home state and they finally go on that first Western hunt. Or, maybe Alaska was just that thing that they dreamt about and they finally go. It's not that one time. It's not like, oh, man, I hope to do that someday. It's like, I'm going to do this next year, or I'm going to go do a different hunt next year in a different spot. But, like, I feel like that can be just, like, the catalyst that, like, lights the fire, it's the spark, and really leads to a lot of other adventures that they're memories that will last you a lifetime.
That's exactly what happened to me in 2015. I have not missed an elk season since then.
Right.
And every September it's known I'm going to be out of the office quite a bit.
And it's weird, though. Like, what if you didn't go that first time?
Yeah.
Like when you think about it, you're like, oh, boy, that would really change a lot of my Septembers at least, and just even how you think about hunting or the memories that you've made, like, with family and friends. Like, there's so much more that goes into it than just drawing the tag and hopefully getting one.
Right.
Well, and I think it's important too to acknowledge that, like, I'm from the South, so I feel like I can speak for like Midwest, even, to the East and through the South. Like it can be super intimidating to step into Western base hunting. It's like the idea of it sounds really cool. The idea of going horseback hunting and shooting an elk in the backcountry sounds really cool. It's a very sexy image, but to actually apply it and know how is really intimidating. And so I want listeners to know that too. Like if you want to call into the office and say, I'm from the East Coast or from the South and I have no idea what I'm doing, like we take those calls too. It's not just about the guys who think that they're experts or need to know how to use their 20 points in Arizona. It's not like that. It's both. It's all across the spectrum.
I mean, that's the person that I would think is going to benefit most.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys are going to have insights into those hunts. It's like, okay, maybe you've been dreaming of a horseback elk hunt. Maybe that isn't the best hunt for you though. Like, right. I rode horses for 4 days one time, and I was like, whoa, I found all the muscles I didn't know I had.
I don't think I'm a cowboy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you guys have those insights. You've been there. You've done that, and I think that's super neat. So we've got, like I said, I got the publication here. It's amazingly beautiful. It's packed with information. What other, I guess, I don't even like the way I'm saying it, like media properties or things like that, do you guys have that are tools for your customers that can assist them on their Western hunt journey?
We like to call ourselves, because there's not a better term for it, but we're a hunting service company.
Okay.
Right. So in addition to the magazine, which is a resource, we have all of our digital tools. All of our members or subscribers can jump on and get interactive draw odds on our website. We have 3D mapping and planning. We work closely with Onyx for their mapping platform. And then we also have our consultations, which is a big part. So you can email into our 10 hunt advisors that their full-time job is researching and finding the best hunts and consulting the subscribers, the members, with what they're looking for. So we take phone calls inbound all day long. and try to help people plan an individual strategy for them. There's not a cookie cutter approach to what you're looking for, but you can ask us any question you want simply by calling in. That's a big part of it. In addition to that, we've created a community where you can connect with those that have been on hunts similar to what you're looking to do. So if you draw a tag in Arizona, you've never been there before, I may have never been there before either as your hunt advisor, but I can connect you with 10 other guys that have hunted that same unit in the past. And then start there, planning where to go, where to stay, where to get fuel. Should they take your four-wheeler or not? What's the water situation like? Whatever question it may be, we're going to connect you with the Huntin Fool community to plan your hunt. So tons of different tools and options. Most of them are underutilized. That's our job, is to keep introducing those, keep them on the forefront. But we're trying our best. I'll say that.
There are two tools that I want to kind of highlight in this too, or I guess services. So when you are a member of ours, you get access to our previous tag holder list. So if you draw a tag, hey, I want to connect with other hunters who have also drawn that tag, you can call in and request that. Now, you have to have drawn the tag first. We don't just hand that out, but we want to make sure that you have that tag in your hand. You can request a list of people who have also drawn that tag. And once you do that, you are, volunteering yourself to become part of that list.
Oh, okay, yep.
Which is...
Going forward.
I don't even know. What are we pushing? Like almost 30,000 people on that list today. So there's a really good chance we can connect you with other people, whether they tagged out or not. Doesn't matter, right? They have valuable information. Those once in a lifetime tags that have been drawn, most likely those guys are going to just barf information because they're not going to draw it again.
Right.
So it's a very interesting web of hunters to connect with. A community of people who want to help. So that's super valuable. And then also our draw cost calculator. I think it's the only one in the industry. You can go in and literally select, to your heart's content. Like in a perfect world, if I could hunt all these things, these are the states I would hunt and the species I would hunt. There's a live calculator on the side adding up your costs. And then we'll email you a report immediately that breaks down out of pocket, non-refundable, and then Huntin Fool fees if we want us to apply on your behalf, which is another part of our company. We have the license application services. It's like a concierge service where it's like, well, we can teach you how to apply for yourself, but maybe you don't have time or you're missing deadlines or whatever it may be. You can pay us to apply for you. So that draw cost calculator will break that down. You can kind of do it on your own. You can come back to it. It saves it as you go. It's a super powerful tool.
So two big things there. Number one, like I do feel like that community of people that have drawn the tag before. It's tough to scout. Like I think about that. I've got a lot of points in a handful of states, and I'm like, when I actually hopefully draw this or put in, or I'm like, yeah, that's the year that I'm going to do it. I'm like, now what? Now what? Holy mackerel! I've got this thing. I've been waiting for it forever. Now what? And like, hopefully, maybe you get one trip out.
Right.
But to have that community of people where you have that really compounding information. It's not just the guy that drew it last year, because he got information from the guy that drew it the year before, and he got information from the guy that drew it the year before. You might have 10 years of relevant information, or you might be able to talk to one guy and maybe it was super dry one year, maybe it was super wet, so and kind of like be like, okay, well, that's the conditions like it's going to be for me this year, at least what I possibly anticipate. That boots on the ground during the hunt information, invaluable.
It is. You can't touch it. What that would take to obtain yourself, like you're saying, the price of fuel and travel and everything, you just can't do it.
It's not happening.
We're too busy. You can't do it.
Yeah.
And with the limited supply of tags we have, you may never get that tag again. You may never be able to go on that hunt again, or you want to do something else the next year. So make the most of your time and make sure it's the best hunt that you've planned for. That's what we want.
Yep.
You to find.
And then and then you touched on the app service there. So that's kind of for the person that, like we said, there's a lot of information. There's a ton of stuff to navigate here. I know people that have been, they've stacked up points in a certain state. They accidentally draw, or they apply for the wrong tag.
Happens all the time.
And draw with they might have 12, 15, 20 points, and they draw like a 1 point, it's catastrophic.
It is. There's nothing you can do.
Arizona.
Yep.
Tell them that example. We just talked about that yesterday.
Arizona.
We're applying people in Arizona right now.
I don't want to make people fearful of doing this process yourself, because you certainly can, right?
Yeah.
You definitely can. What we do is we keep up with the changes. And to your point, that's what happens is your buddy told you 5 years ago what to apply for. Now all of a sudden that hunt code's changed, or the system has changed, or something has different, because these states change every single year. We keep up on that. If you're doing your own applications, you may miss that change or not realize that it's happened, or the deadline date changed. That's very common. And all of a sudden you're out. And you may have wasted years or decades of applications and points by screwing up. Well, I'd like to say we're never going to screw up. We're not perfect, but we're dang close to it in our application department. And so we handle applications on our customers' behalfs in 21 states.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, that's a weight off your shoulders, right? And I imagine, like, is there anything where it's like, yeah, you're applying for people, but like, I guess, what are the other advantages? Like, are you able to apply for more states than you possibly would be otherwise? Are there some advantages there at all? Or
guys always ask us, do I get better draw odds if you apply me, or is there a special drawing if we do it for them? No, there's not. We're doing the same process. We have to click the button just as many times as if you did it on your own. However, the hunt advisors will look at all your applications and make sure we're putting you in for the hunts you expect with your respective points. I'm not going to overuse your points. I'm not going to spend more money than you wanted on a species that's not going to fit the bill for you. So each application is custom tailored to what you want. We look at every one of them and apply one at a time. So it's very careful service that we provide, but your odds aren't going to be better if you apply with us, but they might be if I select a hunt that you didn't know about, because you don't research every unit on your own. But I know that hunt would work for you, and I know how to make it successful, so I'm going to put you in for that hunt.
Gotcha.
So in the end, we draw more tags for our customers because we look at them carefully, and it's not just a blanket throw in for the best and walk away.
The other thing is, if you're a license application client, when you go to your dashboard on our website, it will have a section dedicated to like all your receipts broken down. So we will store your username, passwords, the amount of points that you have. After we apply you, we will update those points. We'll store your receipts in there, and it's broken down by year, state, species. So it's kind of like you have a one-stop shop. It's all there, organized. There's no more Google spreadsheets and folders and binders and things. You have it all there, and we update it for you. You just sign in, and how many points do I have here? And you look, and you'll always know. It's very transparent.
We're like a glorified hunting secretary for you, Mark.
Which is exactly what I need. But I mean, and that's super cool too. Like, you think if you didn't hunt, a lot of people who are listening to this, do hunt, but some may not. But you wouldn't think that you need, like, oh, I want to go hunting. Like, oh, I'm going to need a digital dashboard to like get know what the heck I'm doing with my big game draw tags. Like, or at least the applications and the hunts that you're trying to do. You guys are in southern Utah.
Yep.
That just seems like Utah in general. I'm kind of switching gears here. We'll get back to the app stuff, but this is an observation that I've had over time. Okay, I don't want to say crazy, but Utah is like a hunt crazy state.
100% it is.
I mean, they're in a good way. This is a compliment, by the way, but like fanatical hunters. And then like even like southern Utah, there's like a lot of folks down in that region that are just doing big things in the hunt space. Like, why is that? Is it just because you guys have such like amazing and robust big game populations, or like there's definitely a strong culture around big game hunting though?
Location
is huge. I mean, look at the amount of public land Utah has, right? We are the center hub of that, where we have game and we have public land. So what it creates, to your point, is it creates shed hunters, it creates predator hunters, and it creates a lot of big game opportunities. There's not enough opportunities for the amount of hunters we have, but we're seeing a ton of brands get created, a ton of companies coming out of Utah. It is a strong center hold for Western hunting. And it's a neat vibe. It's opening day of deer season feels more like maybe it would back here. In the Midwest, where it's, hey, all the oranges out, everybody's at the gas station getting ready, four-wheelers are loaded. We still have that in Utah. Where some other Western states, we don't have that because they have too limited amount of opportunities, or there's no general season hunts. So you don't feel that vibe. But Utah is still We get a day off of school, for the deer hunt, the general deer hunt, still to this day, which isn't as common as it used to be.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've never heard, I know I think there's still certain schools or districts in Wisconsin that do that, and that's really the only place that I've actually really ever heard of that.
Yeah.
When I grew up in Washington, my brother and he was the only, and my dad, my family, that's the only people that I knew that hunted. Then we're on, the west side of the state. I think the eastern side of the state definitely has a little bit more, I guess it's more of a prominent part of the culture over there. But yeah, that's so cool to hear that you guys have that very strong tradition, on particularly that gun opener vibe is just there's just something to it.
There is. I grew up in Phoenix, so I grew up in big city in Arizona where I didn't know anybody in my high school that hunted.
Right.
It just wasn't a thing. There wasn't enough tags. Their dads didn't do it. Their grandpas didn't do it. But we still have that family vibe of the family goes hunting together in Utah. That's still a strong tradition, and it's created a pretty fun industry in our state.
Mm-hmm.
We like living there.
I love it. All right, let's go back. Let's go back to the draws. We've been reminiscing about opening days, which I can't wait for opening day. And maybe we'll draw a tag for opening day this year.
Maybe.
But one thing that you hear about, with a lot of these Western draws is a point system. And
Yes.
and there's generally, not always, but some sort of point system. You've got preference points, you got bonus points, we got no point systems we
Right.
talked about. What's the difference?
It is a supply and demand issue. Okay, so what happened, and most of these states started these point systems in the early to mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so demand was going up, animals were trending down overall, and they said, we need to create some sort of preference system to award these people who applied in our lottery draw and did not get awarded. Right, and this is the days of paper tickets still,
Mm-hmm.
where you filled out your paper ticket, you sent it in, and they ran the draw like a raffle in a giant bin, and they would draw them out. So they started giving you loyalty for how many years you participated. Well, the amount of people applying, they saw a light at the end of the tunnel, and they said, if you start now, we'll give you preference, and you will draw this tag you want someday. So that's about when Huntin Fool started as well. So there was light at the end of the tunnel. For no matter what age you were going to draw if you didn't miss a year and you kept applying. Well, here we are almost 30 years later for some of these point systems, and the system is not working like it was intended to because we have decreased supply, increased demand. So what the states have done, we have preference points in some states, which is total preference. If you have the most points, you get the tag. We're going to draw from the top down. If you don't have the points necessary, you're out. Wait another year. That's a true preference point system. Some states have gone to convert to bonus points, where we'll give you extra chances each year. If you have 10 points, we'll give you 10 extra chances to draw your random number and maybe you get a tag. Well, that increases your chances every year, but you're never guaranteed. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. So then what some states have done is created a hybrid system where your points will function as a preference draw to get certain amount of tags. So the guys with the most can draw X, and the guys with the least or every other point level, they draw the rest of the permits. Some states do a 50-50 split, 50 to the high, 50 to everyone else. Some do a 75-25, depending on what it may be. So everyone is trying to curb this. I need new hunters to apply and give us revenue to the state, so we'll got to give them a shot. But I also want to give loyalty to the guys that have been with us for 20 or 30 years trying to draw a sheep tag or an elk tag or whatever it may be. But right now, and I'm speaking for 2022 here, we're seeing a problem. And states are starting to identify you've created this problem because you have guys that are entitled or feel entitled to a tag for whatever species or hunt they want. Every year that adds up. 1 point means 1 year. So if you have 30 points, you've applied for 30 years. Well, yeah, we want to give him loyalty, but is it at the expense of adding 30 or 40 new people in on the bottom side? How discouraging is it if you're 20 years old and you look at the points and say, I got to do this for 40 years before I get a tag? I'm out.
Right. There's no
They might
incentive
not
to
do
get
it.
in the game. And, conversely, you can see how that person goes, dude, I've been doing this for 30 years.
I know. You feel bad
I want
for
my
him.
shot.
Right. So how do we manage those expectations? This has turned into a social issue. Do we continue with point creep, which is the hunt that took 10 points to draw this year takes 11 next year and takes 12 the next and 13 the next? It's just creeping up a year because the mass of applicants is moving up with, the timeline. Or do we spread it out and make it more random and equal for everybody? So is it an equality issue? How do you manage this? It's social. It's messy, and it depends on who you ask what the right answer is.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. It seems like there's just really not a great answer for any of it.
There's not a perfect answer.
I think Montana, they square their points now. I think, so, so like if you have 1 point, you got 1 point, and then, they'll square after that. And then, like you said, point creep. So let's spend just a little bit more time on point creep, though. So what's happening there? Because it sounds like you might never catch up. I mean, is that the problem with it?
That's the truth of it. And so you hear this all the time. It takes 20 points to draw this hunt, and whatever that hunt may be in a state. And you look at yourself and say, I only have 10, so I need to wait 10 more years, and then I will have the 20 needed to draw that hunt. But that 20 is fleeing you at 1 point a year. So in reality, you have to look at how many people are applying for that hunt ahead of you. Perfect example is me in Arizona. I really want a desert bighorn sheep tag sometime before I die. I don't care when, but I'll take it before I die, not a year later.
Yeah, you don't want to do that after.
No. It's not going to work. So I have 27 points for sheep in Arizona, personally. I have the maximum for my age. There's no way for anybody to have more than me if they're my age, because I have not missed a year since I was eligible. So for me to draw my sheep tag, I need to have the maximum points, which is 32 right now. Oh, that sounds like I'm pretty close. I'm less than 10 years, right? No. If you count everybody ahead of me between 27 and 32 points and how many tags they give to us every year, it's going to take me another 54 years to be guaranteed my sheep tag. So that, in essence, is point creep. 32 now is going to be 80 points, 70, 80 points before I reach that max point pool, even though I'm only 7 years behind because I was too young to apply when they started the bonus point system. I'm over 50 years from catching that top level. That is point creep. And as long as I live to be early 90s, and you'll push me, Mark, in my wheelchair out to get my desert bighorn sheep, I'm going to draw, and there's light at the end of the tunnel.
I think we might have people pushing us, but...
Jessica, you want to come?
Yeah, because I'm so much younger than you.
But so it's like you're looking like, you're like, oh man, like everything works out. I still got a shot, right?
Right.
What about a person today? Like, oh man, I'd love to hunt sheep in Arizona.
That's exactly right. You have a chance. So the way Arizona is going to work for a non-resident, 50% of the tags will go random. Okay. So you could draw your very first year, and it happens all the time. You could draw with 0 points or 1 point. But the demand is so high, we're talking less than 0.1% chance of drawing that forever, because your points are never going to matter to draw a sheep tag in Arizona if you're starting out now. Eventually, points will creep up, and then they'll level out, because we all have this thing at the end of our life called death, and we're going to start dying off. So as these old people die off, no one's going to get 100 bonus points, right? They're going to be too old. They're going to be dead.
Right.
But we'll probably see it start plateauing 60 to 80 points. I'm trying to predict the future here.
Right.
But these states have created this system where they didn't know they were creating a 60 to 80 point system when they started it. And now they're realizing that that's going to be the future, and we're seeing changes. Mm-hmm. And all the states are talking about it. What do we do to keep recruitment of new hunters? Still try to give some preference to these old guys, but the old guys are going to die. And that's just the reality of trying to calculate die-off in your draw odds is very difficult, but it's where we're headed.
Well, and the sad part, too, is, some of those folks, they're going to die without ever drawing that tag.
Yes. That's just the reality. You might never win the lottery. I might never win the lottery. It's okay. We still may play it every now and then. That's how it's going to be for hunting. we say once in a lifetime tag, but what we really mean, it's 1 in every 10 persons lifetime. That's how it's going to have to be for those big species, sheep, moose, mountain goat. Not everyone's going to get one, even if you try your whole lifetime.
So when you draw desert bighorn sheep in Arizona on your first year, please let me be on the phone when you call Austin to let him know.
I don't think I would tell you. I'd be like...
That's the thing, is it gives people hope who are young and just getting started, but it pisses off the old guys that have been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, like, oh, I drew this thing. Is that good? Like, yeah, that's good. But at least it's good to know, though, that there is at least, again, like, on one side you have, the max point holders. There's that light at the end of the tunnel. But, like, there is at least some chance, some incentive for a person to get in the game. It could happen. They could literally win the lottery.
Yep.
And get that tag, whether it's even like I think we've been talking a lot specifically kind of like about premier species, right? Like sheep or goat or moose or something like that. But there's a lot of deer and elk tags that are nearly the same way, it seems.
There are, yeah, and I think we should say that point creep doesn't happen for every species, every hunt. A lot of these hunts are leveled out. They're plateaued. So if it takes 7 points now to draw, it'll probably take you 7 points and you'll draw it if you started now. So they're not all creeping up, but if you're only concerned with the very best in the West and all the top trophy hunts, it looks just like my sheep example. It's going to creep up forever, and you may never be guaranteed. So a good example now, Mark, is what Wyoming's doing. Wyoming's been a very preference-heavy, give the tags to the guys that have waited the time. And now they have a task force designated to redoing that whole system, where it looks like they're going to turn all your preference points that you've paid for every single year into bonus points. So if you have a lot of points right now, you're ticked off at Wyoming.
Right? Which I do.
You just took away my guarantee of drawing someday, and they'll probably square your points. So if you got 20 points, you'll go into 400 extra chances, which... it does work. Statistically, squaring your points works as long as the demand isn't too high. As soon as you flood it with thousands of applications,
right,
and everybody's squared, we're all just moving together in the mass, right? It doesn't give me that much of an advantage if there's only a few permits available. But they're going to favor the random game and try to bring a younger crowd in to participate and to play their system, because this mass of old people, that's not a dig against old guys, but
I've got a lot of points in Wyoming, Austin.
But those guys that have the points that were early adopters, it's just not going to be fair for all of them. We can't build our whole state and our whole budget for the state and conservation off of a few guys that are still playing the game. So you look at states that are totally random, have no points at all, they're more attractive to guys my age or new starters, because they're like, hey, I'm equal to everyone else. Let's play.
Yeah, every so often you'll hear about one of the states that they don't really have like a points game, and you'll hear rumblings that they're going to start one, and I'm always like, don't do it. At least that's my opinion, right? I guess opinion, but I'm just like, just because the systems, they do seem like they kind of over time break down.
They do.
And I mean, and I'm not just saying this, as much as it pains me to hear that about Wyoming, because I have a ton of points in Wyoming. I do think like a change like that is probably for the better of the overall system.
Yep. If we put the species first,
that's what I was going to say.
Conservation as a whole.
No, it's about me.
Yeah.
Incorrect. No.
Incorrect. There's a lot of truth to that sentiment, though. We feel it in any time we try to change season dates, try to manage for lower harvest success. How often do we get puffed up and say, but this is my hunt and I want it to be a certain way? Sorry, we need to combine together as a community, as a nation, as hunters in your state, and manage for that state and what's best for that. It's not getting any cheaper to fly helicopters and do surveys and do research projects. These states are struggling with a lot of their budgeting. They need to increase fees. They need to generate more revenue to be able to have any hunting, right? They're just not going to have it.
Yeah, and like you said, like all that same, it's a lot of this is just the result of because people they are so passionate about hunting, and it's part of their family, it's part of their culture. It's part of their family. It's their tradition. It's what they look forward to every year. It's why we all in this room do the things that we do. Then we've, combined work with our passions in the outdoors. But it's tricky. But I think that's a good point to like, hey, let's put the wildlife first, which really that's what's in our hearts. I mean, that's why we hunt this, because we actually do care about wildlife and want to actively participate and enjoy wildlife. And so that's a really cool thing. What about I'm going off my notes here. We covered a lot of I try to take notes so I don't miss anything. You're talking about application strategies, and everybody's an individual, right? Like somebody might be like, I only want to apply for, moose, sheep, and goat. Another person might be like, I only want to shoot, or I only want to hunt the most bestest elk unit in, X state or any state. And another person might be like, I just want to go hunting, right? So I know it's very individual, but are there like kind of like some general strategies that you guys oftentimes like go with or recommend to those kind of, I guess, different buckets of hunters out there?
You know what I'll say? A big part for me is working backwards off a budget. And so a lot of my cookie cutter strategy, or what works for me and probably will work for you, is based on how much you're willing to donate to conservation. Instead of buying license and tags, let's say donate to conservation each year and throw that away, non-refundable. Mm-hmm. And that really helps me define where you're at. For some guys, it's $300 a year. I'm okay throwing $300 away for non-resident, non-refundable applications. Okay, if you can give me that answer, now let's talk what species you're most interested in, the experiences you want. I can make a strategy work for $300 or $200. That makes sense. Now, if you're willing to set that maybe at $2,000 a year, at what you're willing to do non-refundable, the options open up. Now I can start adding states. So the way I prioritize what you're applying for is what is most value, bang for your buck, and work down from there. If you're an elk guy, I'm going to say, we need to get you points in Wyoming so you can go out there someday. And then let's apply in New Mexico because it's fairly cheap after you get your refund back and it's a random draw. Am I going to add Arizona elk? Well, Arizona's got awesome elk, but it's pretty expensive. You're almost $200 a year right there in non-refundable fees, so that may not fit depending on your budget. But we'll just put those in order of what makes most sense to do with your dollars and build your strategy backwards off of that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. You mean, this is my strategy. This is what I want to do. And you're like, that's going to be $5,000. Like, okay, new strategy.
Yeah.
That was me when I first started. Had no idea.
We work from the bottom and we just start Xing states. Nope, let's cut that off. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And build up from there till you just have the states you're going to apply for from the top down. Make sense of your money. Because if you've only hunted in your home state, hunting's pretty manageable. It's not super expensive for residents, and that's by design. But as soon as you are a non-resident hunting another state, it can be 10 times as expensive as it is for a resident. So it can get spendy quick to come out west. So save up, but tell me how much you can spend per year, non-refundable, and let's plan your application strategy off of that.
Yep. And like you said, do it now. Nobody's getting any younger, right? That is a fact. That's how life works. And then, if you are going to get in the game, the sooner you do it, the sooner you hopefully, draw that tag or go on that hunt that you just otherwise aren't going to go on. If you got to get in the game.
Yeah, and we don't want you to think that this is a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year game. It can be a 1-year game. We can play and get you some tags for this year. Now realize the expectations, maybe of trophy size, are going to match that. Mm-hmm. But we can get you on hunts every year. We have guys we consult all the time that say, I want to hunt mule deer every year and elk every year. I also want to apply for some of the best hunts in the West, but please make sure that I can go every year on a hunt somewhere. And we can do that. Mm-hmm. When you start looking at all these states, there are opportunities to do that. Take your kids out. It's still cheap for youth to hunt. You need to go out and try it. Don't just sit home and wait until you draw someday, because you're probably going to die before you do it, or you're never going to get to experience it before you can enjoy it. Like, go now.
Go now. Well, and One thing that I think it's important to point out, there's a lot of great hunts out there. Like you said, you can find a hunt that you can go on, or there's a lot that you could maybe do every year or every other year. There's a lot of value in what you learn. We talked about that knowledge base earlier. You're going to get that knowledge base for yourself. Heck, you might learn an area and learn how to hunt it and learn, how hunter pressure affects it, how weather affects it, whatever, all that stuff that you're going to personally learn over time. You might end up having a better hunt there than you do in some premier unit that you've never been to.
Yeah.
You don't know it. You guys have some great resources that can help that person out. But I don't know. There's a lot of value in just going. I just like being able to plan. Like, I can go on this hunt. I know I can go. I can plug it in the schedule. I can plan for it. Yeah, maybe it's not trophy quality isn't through the roof. Maybe it's not the time of year that I even would want to maybe do that, right? But you're going.
Yeah.
You're going.
Jared, great example is this past season, our CEO, Jared Lyle, and I went out. We went up and scouted a unit that he might want to draw for. He has 18 points to burn on elk in Utah. And I just wanted to shoot a cow or spike. I have very low expectations. I just want to hunt elk. And so we were able to go and chase cows and spikes and learn a unit that he wants to burn 18 points on a bull. And he was able to learn a whole different area and was hunting in the process. Just not what he didn't have the tag in his pocket, if that makes any sense.
So
it's really cool. It's very valuable.
Really good game plan.
Yeah. And how many people know that you can come to Utah, buy a tag at Walmart, and go hunt elk with your bow in the best units in the state? Now, your tag can only go on a cow or a spike bull, but you get to hear the bugles, you get to see the elk, you're in the C350 bulls running around, and you could do that every year and enjoy it and go with your family and ride your four-wheeler and experience Utah, but you don't have to wait 20 years to do that. You can do it every single year over the counter. Those opportunities, they're there, and we cover them, but they're dwindling, right? We're seeing more and more states like Idaho going to a quota system, or too many people are coming over the counter, so we got to cut back. So don't sit around and wait because it might go away. Things do change.
Yeah, you hear, at least I hear, even the last couple of years, like a state like Colorado, you hear rumblings of there might, and I think, have they kind of decreased their over-the-counter options over time? And you're like, oh gosh, is it just a matter of time until that's gone? I don't want to be negative or the boogeyman, but like you said, just the tag allocation landscape is changing, and it's constantly changing.
And we're going to see that more and more over-the-counter opportunities are going to a draw. That's the future. It's just the reality. Pretty soon, everything will probably be a draw for every species out west, no matter what it is or what weapon. And then I think on the other side of that, you're going to see point systems get abolished and push more towards the random. It just has to go that way. Mm-hmm. It's too discouraging to look at a 50-point system. I don't want to look at it, and I don't want to start in it, and I'm not going to give you any money if I don't feel like I have a decent chance.
Right.
And your tolerance for percentage of draw odds is different than my tolerance. I look at 1 in 1,000 and I go, I'm excited, but the next guy maybe 1 in 20, he's discouraged because he doesn't think he's going to draw. But it's just how much you want to throw at it and what tolerance you're okay playing with.
Yep. I mean, oftentimes I end up not burning my points because I'm like, maybe I'm not even really a planner, but I'm just I don't know, there really are so many cool opportunities out there. It's I'm going to go do over the counter, August bear hunt in X state. It's okay, well, cool. I'm going on a super cool alpine neat hunt. I don't hopefully we see some bears, right? You know, and then I'm like, oh great, now I buy another point, the states probably love me. Oh, that's the guy that just buys points every year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the guy you want to go up against. Yeah, very interesting and definitely some good insights there on how to get an amazing experience that isn't costing you a ton of points. You get to enjoy everything about that hunt that you would if you had the premier tag. You just don't get to go chase the giant. So, and hopefully end up with some elk meat.
One question you asked me, Mark, was about my dream hunt. What are you waiting to draw? Obviously, desert bighorn sheep in Arizona. I'm waiting to draw that. But in the meantime, I look at some of the best hunts I've had over the last few years. They've been in totally random draw states. And yeah, I was an early adopter. I have points all over the West. But the random draw states have brought me opportunities. Like I drew a Rocky sheep tag in Idaho, totally random, and I got to go on that hunt. That was a dream hunt. Did I plan for that? No. Did I ever think I was going to draw? No. But I hoped, and the hunt came to fruition. I drew a muskox tag in Alaska, another totally random draw state. I played for 10 years. I was starting over every year because it's random. I had no points, no preference over anybody. But on year 10, I got lucky and I drew that tag. So I've had phenomenal experiences just because I was in the game playing. Mm-hmm. So my subconscious says, do I like random draw better? I don't know. It feels better. I've had some cool experiences. Am I just lucky? Maybe. I know guys that are luckier than me, but it might work better going forward.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, it feels like you have a chance. That's the difference.
It's just equal footing. You know, it might not be, might not be the most stable footing, right? You know, sure. But at least it's equal footing. You feel like you have a chance. I mean, I've thought about that before, even with my Wyoming points. I'm like, if they said we're just going to go to a random, we're just like, guys, it's not working. I'm not saying that it's not working, but I'm just saying if they're like, guys, it's a broken system. We just can't do anything. It's not sustainable. I think I'd actually get it. I'd be like, whatever, I donated to conservation. If that's the worst thing that happened at the end of the day, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's tough too, though, because you look forward to that your whole life. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be disappointed. I don't know. It's tricky.
It is tricky. If you're budget minded, the random is nice as well. Like New Mexico, Alaska. If you can't go this year, or you've got a busy fall, you've got a child on the way, whatever it may be, you can bail out and not lose, right? That hook that they have in you with bonus points is to get you to pay again this year. Mm-hmm. But if it's random and you don't lose anything by missing a year, you may skip it, put that budget somewhere else, and you're not penalized for that. So it does work out if you're more budget minded.
I like it. Jess, what's do you have a tag that you've drawn that you're just like, I can't believe I drew it? Or are you still waiting?
I'm waiting. Yeah, for this year I'm waiting right now. I did put in for Alaska Mountain Goat with this guy, if he'll have me. He's like, you better be nice or I'm not going to take you. So I would love to draw that. That's a bucket list hunt. I'm also supposed to, it's not a draw tag, but I'm supposed to go caribou hunting this year in Alaska.
That's a big one.
Yeah, but if I could only hunt one animal the rest of my life, it'd be elk. So I just get really obsessed with elk, and everything else kind of falls behind it. And so.
No, but that's a point. Like she said, to plan a hunt, she's putting in for the draws all over, but she's not waiting to plan her season just for the draws. She's going to plan to go on a caribou hunt in Alaska, which is over the counter. She's going to plan to go elk hunting in Utah, archery, which is over the counter. So still plan your hunts out west and don't just sit around and wait for the draw. Mm-hmm. Because back to our thing, you're not getting any younger and the opportunities are slim.
And I just started a few years ago because, like I said, I came across Huntin Fool. When I met Jared, I didn't even know about Huntin Fool. I had heard the name a little bit here and there, but I didn't know it was going to literally change my life in every area of my life. And so I don't have a lot of points, but I still have a strategy even with low points. I'll build a point in Wyoming to hopefully draw next year. I don't have a lot, but it's enough to draw what I want. And again, I have low expectations, so my advice is to lower your expectations. But
low expectations they're very important.
Yeah. They are. And then, I hope to draw Montana this year because I like that there's a longer season that I can chase them with my bow, elk. Mm-hmm. And it still allows me to go hunting in September with my dad because that's our annual trip. Me and my dad go elk hunting every year, and I will do that until I can't do it with him anymore. And so it's elk first, but my dad's hunt first, and then everything falls with that around that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a strategy. It's not a very extensive strategy because I just want to chase elk.
Yeah. What's your dream hunt, Mark? What are you trying to draw, or what do you wish you could draw someday?
Man, so interestingly enough, my dream hunt would actually just be not a good one, but so Roosevelt elk in my home state on essentially public land with the bow. If you told me I could do anything and get they're my arch nemesis. I shouldn't say I've missed a couple nice bulls, but I guess I have. My arrow just hasn't gotten there because you're always trying to thread the needle through. You're not shooting through brush, but you're shooting between brush, and you may have some fairly finite shooting lanes. And so I've had my arrow not get to where I've wanted it to go a couple times. And dude, I grew up with those things, and I love them. I hunted them with the rifle growing up, but going back and doing that and being successful with the bow, which I feel like I've been like this close, like a couple times. But I just like, to me, like, I think everybody likes home. That's home for me. And I just like if you told me, and this is going to sound probably crazy, but if you said you could go on a sheep hunt or go kill I guess, I don't want like a guaranteed canned hunt, but like if you're telling me I would have a successful sheep hunt or a successful Roosevelt elk hunt with the bow, I'd probably take the Rosie hunt.
I'm the exact same way. I don't even play the sheep game. That's like, these guys like burns their ears to hear that, but I don't. I just don't care a whole lot about it.
Yeah, Austin's like holding his tongue. He's like, I'm sitting next to an insane person.
Yeah.
I think what drives me, am I a sheep nut? I like sheep, but there's something about the experience that I really enjoy. I love seeing new places. And yes, I want to conquer maybe something in my home state, like talking about Roosevelt elk. You feel like you've achieved a goal maybe in your home state if you can get that done. But I like going out and seeing new experiences and seeing different species in different environments or the same species in different environments. Hunt elk out in the sagebrush, hunt elk at high alpine, hunt them above alpine. All those experiences are what drive me to chase sheep, to chase these opportunities, and hopefully I get a few more.
For sure. And I think, you pointed out one thing that I think is really important and something that I do sometimes, and I generally, I guess it's like a combination, but like, yes, I want to hunt an animal, but I also want to hunt places. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to think of a good example. It's like, I love bear hunting, right? But like alpine bear hunting, like in, Washington or something like that, that is a really, really cool hunt. And I think there's also some hunts that you can go on that are over the counter that you don't have to draw, that you can get the same experience. Like we were talking about mountain goats earlier. There's some really cool alpine deer hunts that you can go on essentially over the counter. If you got the gumption and want to go and get up there, you're hunting the same country. You're going to see mountain goats. You're just hunting deer in that country, So it's like the experience is really the same. You're just chasing a different animal. So like if you 100%. Want to be a mountain hunter, go be a mountain hunter and go do that hunt. You can do it probably every year.
Yep.
So
there is a stigma around sheep hunting that it's the hardest hunt or the pinnacle of hunting. That's not always true, especially with bighorn sheep in the lower 48. Some of those hunts are fairly easy hunts, right? They don't get hunted a lot. I've had a much more difficult mule deer hunts. But to your point, pick the experience you want. I've hunted mule deer in Colorado at 12,000 feet, right? You can't breathe. You're taking very short steps trying to hunt, and there's goats running around you and bighorn sheep, and you're like, this is harder than any sheep hunt I've heard of. So let's go do that. And you could do that every couple of years. Feel like you're hunting sheep, but you're really just hunting deer in the rocks above timber.
Right.
So you could find the hunts that fit what you're expecting. Like a dream hunt for me would be a horseback hunt in Wyoming with my dad. A true elk wilderness backcountry experience. Is it because that's where the biggest bulls are? No. But it's where I can feel like I'm truly elk hunting like the olden days, whatever you're looking for. See some grizzly bears, choose the experience, not just the size of the animal.
Yeah, I think one thing that's cool to see, just with the, and I think you'd see this, across the board if you had if you had 50 hunters in the room, but like none of our answers revolved around like, I want to shoot a 400-inch bull. Like it was like, no, I want to go do this because this is special to me, or I love this area, or I want to hunt with my dad, And at the end of the day, that's really at the core of what a lot of hunting is about. As much as, I love big critters as much as the next guy. I dream about them every day. Rarely get one, rarely see them, But I think that, that's kind of like that carrot that's out there. But the core of what's important is, at the foundation. So
we're always driven to be better, and we should be, right?
Yeah.
I want to be better than I was yesterday, and hunting gives me that reason. I'm not a gym guy. I don't like going to the gym, but I do enjoy hiking and working out just because it makes me a better hunter, and I want to be a little better than last year. Maybe shoot a little bigger bull than I did last year, or have a little tougher pack out than I did last year. Personally, right? We get very competitive in this industry and want to be better because I hunt different than you. But I shouldn't compare myself to you. I should compare myself to what I did last time and try to make it better for me. and make it even better for my kids. And I want hunting for them to be better than it was for me.
I just think it's cool that it exposes your strengths and weaknesses. Like I feel like I learn a ton about myself every single year I'm in the field, especially in new country and chasing something different. It's like, man, I'm actually good at that, and I didn't think I'd be good at that. Or wow, I really suck at that. But it's just interesting because you're always learning about yourself and how you deal with pressure and challenges. And I know that's what it keeps me hungry to go back.
Well, as I was going to say, and no matter what side of that pendulum that you're on, like, oh, I was really good at that, I want to do that more. Or like, I was really terrible at that, I want to do that more.
Yeah.
I want to get better at it. So like either way you go again. So that's the good end result. Did we miss anything about Huntin Fool and all the cool stuff you guys are doing over there?
I was gonna say a shameless plug because you said that you love bear hunting. We just did an episode 130 on spring bear hunting, just like opportunities across the West of how you can take advantage of that. So spring bear
often overlooked.
Yeah.
Often overlooked, and I guess, like I say at press time, a little bit under fire. So get out there, go spring bear hunting, and see what it's all about, and enjoy it, because it is. I don't know too many other better things to be doing in the spring than chasing bears around. So it's fun, and we're talking about different landscapes. You can do it on the coast of Alaska. You can do it in the mountains of the West. There's a lot of really cool, unique hunts that are very different and still a lot of fun.
Yep.
And they're delicious.
They are. I would agree. But yeah, let us be your hunting buddy, Huntin Fool. We want to be your friend. We want to help you, no matter who you are, what background you come from, what your budget is. Come out west and see what it's like. Let us help you find a hunt. No matter who you are and what your budget is, we would love to help. But you have to use us. You have to call us, email us, use our website, use the tools. We're busy. We're not very proactive on coming to your house and setting out an application strategy for you. But if you come to us, we'll do it for you. We'll help you.
We do have a free smartphone app, too, that is really good just to get reminders, just like, hey, this deadline's in a week. Usually do one a week out and the day of. It's just...
So you don't miss out.
So don't miss that deadline. A lot of people download our app for that because it's free, and you'll just get reminders.
There's about a deadline every week from now until the end of May. So don't miss.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, gosh, when we talk about, now I'm going to take this longer than I wanted, but like, one state will have multiple deadlines. It's not like, well, I finished Arizona or I finished Wyoming. It's like, no, the elks now, the deer, antelope are, a couple months later. That hunt reminder, that's or that component of what you guys have is very important, because sometimes that's all it takes. Life's busy, man. Life's busy. Stuff gets hectic. Then all of a sudden, and I've been there in multiple states. Coming, show season, which is also, doing a lot of travel or something like that. I was driving back a couple of years from something with Muckenhern, who's he's on the podcast a lot, and I may have said a word because it occurred to me just at this moment at random. I was like, and I didn't apply for Colorado. So that's just that shouldn't happen. It should be top of my mind, but sometimes you miss them. So
sometimes you do. And if you have a flexible schedule in the fall, you can also look at the reissued tags or the over-the-counter tags where they get turned back. I personally got a Nevada first come, first serve tag. You watch the website. I got lucky. An elk tag popped up. A rifle elk tag in Nevada is a tough one to draw. And I bought it immediately and went elk hunting in Nevada the next week.
Unbelievable.
So it can happen. It does it in Colorado. It happens. Nevada, it happens. So watch that too. If you're flexible, you can jump on some really neat opportunities. If you're willing to stay up with us, we'll tell you when these dates and deadlines are coming, and you can go.
Awesome. All right, everybody. If you haven't hunted out west, give it a try. You probably won't regret it. I might regret it, because then you're going to be in the draw system. And you're going to be working against me, and then my odds are going to go down. But still, we'll be somewhat altruistic here and say, just do it anyway. Don't wait, and get in the game, learn it, and use very, very important resources that are out there that can help you navigate those systems. Check out the guys at Huntin Fool. Check out their website, publication, all the different tools that they have that can help you really go on the hunt of a lifetime. And that could be a tag that takes 20 years to draw, or that could be a hunt that you draw the very next year. So there's lots of stuff out there. They'll keep you abreast of that. And, man, till next time, happy hunting and shooting, everybody.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
There you have it, folks. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, give this video a like if you liked it, comment something below, and give us a subscribe to the Vortex Nation podcast channel. It would mean a lot to us. Also, why don't you give us a follow over on Instagram while you're at it, at Vortex Nation Podcast. We'd love to hear from you over there, and we'll keep you updated with all kinds of cool photos and videos from our adventures that we do here. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one. Thank you again. Happy hunting and shooting, everybody. Have a good one.